The story of Africa's transformation in the 21st century is not just one of politics, diplomacy, or shifting alliances, but increasingly of infrastructure. At the heart of this transformation lies one of the most ambitious projects the continent has ever seen, a $5 billion dam that many experts believe could change Africa's map forever. It is a story not just of concrete, steel, and engineering brilliance, but of the continent's struggle for self-determination, its ability to harness its own natural resources, and the way a single project can alter the balance of power in a region that has, too often, been written about only in terms of its challenges, rather than its possibilities. The idea of building such a massive dam is not entirely new. For decades, African leaders, engineers, and visionaries have discussed the need to harness the immense rivers that flow across the continent. From the Congo to the Nile, from the Niger to the Zambezi, Africa is home to some of the most powerful waterways in the world. Yet for much of modern history, these rivers have been left underutilized. Their potential either ignored or deliberately underdeveloped by global powers that preferred to keep Africa dependent on imported fuel and foreign aid, rather than truly self-sufficient in energy. The new $5 billion dam changes that narrative, because it represents not just an infrastructure project, but a declaration of intent that Africa is ready to power itself, feed itself, and chart its own destiny. This dam is being constructed in a strategic location where hydrology, geography, and politics intersect. The river it harnesses is one of Africa's most important, flowing across multiple borders and sustaining millions of lives through irrigation, fisheries, and transportation. By placing a structure of this magnitude on such a river, the project does not simply produce electricity. It redefines the political map, redistributes power among nations, and reorders the very notion of who controls Africa's future. Water in Africa is life, but it is also power, and whoever manages it holds a tremendous lever over regional stability and prosperity. From an engineering standpoint, the dam is a marvel. Stretching for kilometers, built with millions of cubic meters of reinforced concrete, and designed to withstand both the extremes of seasonal floods and the unpredictability of climate change, it stands as a testament to modern African ambition. At full capacity, it will generate thousands of megawatts of electricity, enough to power not only the host nation, but also export energy to neighbors who for decades have faced shortages, blackouts, and unreliable supply. With transmission lines connecting across borders, the dam becomes not just a national asset, but a continental one, potentially feeding into the African Union's long-discussed but rarely realized dream of a unified continental power grid. Yet the impact of this dam is not limited to the electrons flowing through cables. Its reservoirs will create new agricultural possibilities in a region long plagued by drought and erratic rainfall. By controlling floods and providing year-round irrigation, farmers will be able to grow crops that previously were impossible or uneconomical. The prospect of food security, of turning arid land into fertile fields, is one of the most powerful promises this project offers. Instead of importing vast amounts of grain, Africa could become a breadbasket for itself, and even for the wider world. But the dam also raises difficult questions. Water is a shared resource, and rivers do not obey national borders. By holding back such immense volumes in its reservoir, the dam alters the flow downstream. Nations that depend on the river for agriculture, for drinking water, or for navigation suddenly find their lifeline controlled by decisions taken elsewhere. This has created diplomatic tensions, with some governments warning that the dam could ignite disputes if not managed fairly. History is filled with examples where control of water has sparked conflict, and Africa is no exception. To prevent such a scenario, African states must negotiate carefully, balancing national interests with regional cooperation, and ensuring that the benefits of the project are shared rather than hoarded. On the global stage, the dam represents another kind of challenge. For decades, the narrative of Africa's energy future has been written in foreign capitals, oil companies from the West, investors from Europe, and more recently China, all promising development but often structuring deals to benefit themselves more than Africans. By funding and building a project of this scale, Africans are signaling that they are ready to define their own energy destiny. This does not mean rejecting international cooperation, but it does mean setting the terms. The dam, therefore, is not just a hydropower project. It is a geopolitical statement. Western analysts, accustomed to viewing Africa through the prism of dependency, have expressed skepticism about the dam's viability, questioning whether the region can manage such a vast project without external oversight. Yet these doubts often reveal more about old prejudices than about reality. The engineers behind the dam are world-class. The financing has been carefully structured with a mix of state funding, regional development banks, and private partnerships, and the will to see it through is stronger than ever. Where critics see risk, Africans see opportunity. Where outsiders predict failure, those on the ground see a future in which their children grow up with electricity, running water, and reliable infrastructure. For ordinary Africans, the dam is not an abstract concept but a promise of a better life. A shopkeeper in a small town who currently closes at nightfall due to lack of light sees in this project the possibility of running his business longer, of giving his children access to the internet, of living a life where opportunity is not constrained by darkness. A farmer sees the chance to irrigate crops in the dry season, doubling or even tripling his income. A student envisions studying without interruption, with power for computers and classrooms that function year-round. These are the human faces of infrastructure, the reason why such monumental investments matter. The dam also introduces an ecological debate. Large dams are controversial worldwide because of their environmental impact. They displace communities, flood ecosystems, and change the dynamics of rivers in ways that scientists are still trying to fully understand. Critics argue that while hydropower is clean in terms of carbon emissions, it carries hidden costs in biodiversity, fisheries, and the lives of people uprooted from their ancestral lands. Supporters counter that Africa cannot remain in energy poverty while waiting for perfect solutions, and that with careful planning, resettlement programs, and environmental safeguards, the benefits far outweigh the costs. In this sense, the dam embodies the dilemmas of modern development, the tension between immediate human needs and long-term environmental sustainability. Financially, the project is a gamble but also an opportunity. At $5 billion, it is one of the largest single infrastructure investments ever attempted in Africa. For comparison, it dwarfs many national budgets, and it has required a complex financing structure involving domestic contributions, continental funds, and strategic partnerships with foreign backers who see in this project not only profit, but influence. Yet the potential returns are equally massive. If successful, the dam will save billions annually in energy imports, create tens of thousands of jobs, attract industries that require stable power, and serve as a model for future projects across the continent. Politically, the dam strengthens the hand of African leaders who support it. They can point to a concrete example of progress, something visible and tangible that counters the endless criticism about governance and corruption. Standing before such a colossal structure, they can say to their people and to the world, here is proof that Africa can build, that Africa can dream, and that Africa can deliver. It becomes not just a dam, but a monument to African ambition. Internationally, reactions to the project reveal the shifting dynamics of global power. While Western institutions issue cautious reports and warnings, China and other emerging powers are more openly enthusiastic, seeing in the dam both a business opportunity and a way to deepen ties with Africa. The United States, meanwhile, views it through the lens of geopolitics, worrying about what it means for its waning influence in the region. Europe sees in it a potential supplier of clean energy, but also fears instability if water disputes spiral out of control. In every capital, the dam is being discussed not just as an engineering project, but as a strategic variable in Africa's future. The construction process itself has become a theater of national pride. Thousands of workers, many of them local, are involved. Every day, trucks, bulldozers, cranes, and engineers work tirelessly, building not just a dam, but a symbol of African resilience. Documentaries show massive concrete walls rising out of the riverbed, turbines being lowered into place, and young engineers, trained both locally and abroad, taking charge of operations. For them, this is not just a job, but a calling, a chance to be part of history. As the dam nears completion, the anticipation grows. Electricity production is expected to begin within a few years, with the first phase already testing turbines. The reservoir, stretching for hundreds of kilometers, is filling slowly, a new inland sea that will alter landscapes, weather patterns, and the lives of millions. Fishermen prepare for new opportunities, traders for new markets, and farmers for new fields. The ripple effects are already being felt, and the excitement is palpable. The dam has also reignited old debates about Africa's integration. Pan-Africanists see it as a stepping stone toward the dream of a continent united not only politically, but economically, with shared infrastructure that transcends colonial-era borders. If Africa can build one dam of this magnitude, they argue, why not 10? Why not create a network of power plants, railroads, and highways that truly integrate the continent and free it from dependency? The $5 billion dam thus becomes more than a project. It becomes a metaphor for Africa's future, vast, ambitious, fraught with challenges, but filled with possibility. When future historians write about this period, they may well mark the completion of this dam as a turning point. Not because a river was stopped, but because a continent decided to move forward. The challenges of climate change, population growth, and economic inequality remain immense, but with projects of this scale, Africa demonstrates that it is no longer content with waiting for charity or following the lead of others. It is ready to shape its own destiny, to redraw its own map, and to prove to the world that its future is one of power, progress, and possibility. The $5 billion dam is more than concrete and turbines. It is a story of vision, courage, and determination. It is a reminder that nations are not defined by their past, but by the choices they make for their future. And for Africa, this choice, this dam, could very well change the map forever.